2025 is looking to be a stacked year for the gaming industry. Last year, I didn't go into 2024 with a lot of hopes. I assumed Final Fantasy VII would win Game of the Year, and that Nintendo would just kind of whimper through the last year of the Switch's retail relevancy. However, 2024 did end up being a pretty solid year. Black Myth Wukong was my most anticipated game of 2024, along with Astrobot, and they both performed very well. Nintendo snuck out a few bangers, including Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, which was a total surprise. So, in general, I don't know how favorable we'll look back on 2024, but I think it ended up being an okay year. And now, me personally, I was saving all my excitement for 2025. Yes, again, with me anticipating a low year for Nintendo, I figured they were saving all their gunpowder for 2025, and we already knew some big rumors coming out for Microsoft and Sony on the 2025 front. So I figured let's kick off the new year by talking about the games that I am most excited for, the games I am most anticipating for 2025. And it's worth noting, we're not going to be talking about speculative or rumor games. I'm mostly focusing on games that have a concrete release date, or at least all signs are pointing to 2025. So with that out of the way, let's get started with Avowed. Obsidian is back, and I admit I'm one of those people that gets very excited for Western RPGs. They typically are these ginormous releases, and for the most part, they tend to get mocked retroactively for just having wide open, empty worlds with not a lot to do, but still, I am a sucker for these games. When Obsidian did New Vegas or Outer Worlds, I ate both of those games up. I loved them very much. Avowed, I think, is going to be pretty hit or miss, like Starfield with Bethesda, right? A lot of people were super hyped for that game. A lot of people said it's just going to be a lot of empty planets. One of the most polarizing games, but these big open RPGs tend to be that way in the gaming community. Either way, I will be there fanboying for Obsidian and Avowed when this game drops later this year. Staying in the same track is Fable. Now, it's dubbed Fable 2025, even though I call it Fable 4. I'm hoping it doesn't get pushed back with a name like that. So, Fable was actually the series that got me into RPGs right before I played New Vegas, mostly because I was trying to get into Japanese RPGs, and outside of Pokemon, I'm just not really a Japanese RPG guy. But then I played Fable, and it just clicked. It was a lot like playing Zelda with more traditional RPG elements, and I really loved that game. That's when role-playing really clicked for me. Like, you can be good or evil in Fable, and to me, that was an element missing in traditional Japanese RPGs. Like, they were never open world. Your decisions never really mattered in those kind of games. I'm sure there's exceptions, but just for me trying to get into RPGs at the time, I played Fable, and there was the good and evil system, and it blew my mind. It got me into RPGs. Right then thereafter, I would play New Vegas, and I was hooked. I was a Western RPG guy. Persona's cool, but I never really got into it. But New Vegas and Fable, those kind of games, I eat those games up. And it's crazy to think how long it's been since we've had a new Fable game. I've been hyped for Fable 4 since we saw that trailer, I think, 4 years ago, going on 5. And it's crazy to think it's been even longer since Fable 3 on the 360. So, depending on what Nintendo does, this will probably be my game of the year. Fable is it's a very awesome franchise that honestly hasn't got a new entry, I know there was the Kinect game, but man, I haven't got to play a new Fable game in over a decade. Yeah, easily over a decade, right? So, couldn't be more hyped for this game. But I will say, what I think, now I said Fable 4 will probably be my game of the year. What I think is going to be everybody's game of the year, if it lands, my hot take was that this game will not come out in 2025, but all signs point to it. So, Grand Theft Auto 6. Yeah, I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? This is going to be the most hyped gaming event probably in all our lifetimes. I know there have been some big ones. Was it Halo 3 or Halo 1? It was probably Halo 3, but one of them had, this epic launch campaign. and, Breath of the Wild kickstarting the Switch's reign over gaming. I mean, there have been some hyped releases. Mario getting us started with 3D, real 3D gaming, but I think GTA 6 is going to break, I would say, the internet. It's not getting that PC version right out of the gate, which may hinder it, but as far as consoles go, this is going to probably be the biggest thing in consoles. Even if I go back and forth whether a Switch 2 or GTA 6 launch would be the biggest event happening in 2025. Personally, I'm probably more excited for a Switch successor, but with GTA 6 being on PlayStation and Xbox, I think it's going to be the bigger gaming event. I think it's going to do numbers. I think it's going to be astronomical. The hype around this game is going to be insane, which leads me to ask you guys a question. Will GTA 6 live up to the hype? I'm a little worried that it won't be able to. Again, another game that we've been waiting for over a decade. Can it possibly live up to the hype? GTA 4, that game blew my mind. I remember watching Attack of the Show probably, and they were showing off how there's no load screens. You can just walk into the clothing store or the restaurant, and there's no loading screen. And that was, mind-blowing in 2009, 2010, whenever that was. GTA 5 was just a crazy game. I remember my freshman year, moving off to college, my RA got a copy of it, and I would watch him play it, and then finally I got my own copy. And yeah, I mean, GTA 5 and GTA 4, even going back to GTA 3, I didn't play the PlayStation ones as much. I was still a kid. My parents didn't really like them. So it was hard to play Vice City, San Andreas, and 3, but this is just one of those legendary franchises that doesn't get an entry every other year. It's been going on 12 years since we've got GTA 5, which is insane. So GTA 6, probably going to be the most hyped thing coming out in 2025, if I had to guess. Now, let's hop over to the Level 5 revival. Not quite on the scale of the first 3 games we talked about, but Level 5 is one of my favorite childhood video game companies, and really that's off the back of the Dark Cloud franchise. Now, they would go on to make Rogue Galaxy, Fantasy Life, Ni no Kuni, and a handful of other great games. But Dark Cloud, man, my dad brought that game home, and he said it's like Zelda. I was like, okay, well, you have my intrigue. And at some point it became, well, it's like Zelda, but a city simulator. Like, okay, this is phenomenal. And Dark Cloud has remained one of my kind of cult favorite games of all time. And I will play a level 5 game just because it's got their name on it, right? So the fact we're in the middle of a level 5 revival, we got a new Fantasy Life. We've got Professor Layton, which I assume will be the big game this year, and probably the game you think I'm talking about, but I'm actually talking about Deca Police. This game looks different than anything that I've ever played, and my main draw here is that it's level 5. This game looks like a mix between The Matrix and Persona with a little bit of Ace Attorney blended together with that level 5 charm. So to me, that is the game I am most looking forward to. I think it'll be really cool, and a big part of that is the level 5 charm. I just think they do great work. I'm so excited that they are really pushing. What are we getting? 3 level 5 games this year? I don't even know the official number. And they're going to be English translations, right? Like, we got Yokai Watch 4 in Japan. That game never came stateside, and that game looks pretty sweet. It's one of the few Switch games I've been tempted to import. So I'm just excited that we're getting a whole host of level 5 games, and for me, Deca Police is the big headliner. I know Professor Layton and Fantasy Life are probably bigger deals, but I just think Deca Police is going to be so cool. Okay, the last game we'll talk about today is going to be Pokemon, right? So what will Nintendo's big game be in 2025? That's the question I think everybody is asking themselves heading into the 2025 season. We're fully anticipating getting the Switch 2 or the Switch successor, as I like to call it, because there's no guarantee it's going to be the Switch 2, right? So what's going to be their big game? How supported is the Switch going to be? We know we're getting Donkey Kong later this month. We know we're getting Metroid Prime 4. And we know we're getting Pokemon ZA. And that's going to be the game I'm focusing on here because I loved Legends Arceus. Now, admittedly, I haven't seen any gameplay footage for ZA. And I know Pokemon has kind of not gotten the best rep here lately. But Legends Arceus was one of my favorite modern Pokemon games. Like, since X and Y, Arceus has been one of my favorites, if not my favorite, that they've done. So it getting a sequel, and I've stayed almost spoiler-free for ZA. I really have, because I think it's going to be great. Like, I don't need a lot of trailers. I kind of want to go into it blind. I run a gaming channel, so I have to watch some trailers, but ZA, I'm staying almost completely spoiler-free. Right? Like, I don't even know, have they spoiled the starters? Have they spoiled the region? I don't know, because to me, this is just a day one purchase. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care to know going into it. I think I will get spoiled, obviously, but I don't mind going into it not knowing the starters, not knowing the regions, because Legends Arceus was told to me like, oh, it's Monster Hunter meets Pokemon. And I'm not a big Monster Hunter fan, so I waited to get that game a while, almost like a year, and then I got it and played it, and it felt like Pokemon moving in the right direction. And when they announced that they were going to do another Legends game, I was so excited. I didn't know if we'd get one, but the fact that we are, I'm just really excited to see what they do. I hope every region gets a history-fied version. Like, let's go to Johto, let's go to Sinnoh, let's go to all these regions. Let every starter get an old form. Let Infernape get an old form. Let Blastoise get an old form. I really love what they're doing with it. I think it's very cool. I think it's also pretty neat. It's a way to double up on regions, right? Like, I guess we already did Sinnoh. I wasn't really thinking. Kanto or Johto, right? So, Sinnoh became the Hisuian region. And that was really cool, because now we got all these Hisuian variants of Pokemons, and it's a way to double up on your regions, which is kind of neat. So yeah, I've blabbered on long enough about that. I think it will be cool. I think it will be just neat to see what they do with it. So sure, there are other games I could have talked about. Metroid Prime 4 and Borderlands 4 are easily going to be some of the most hyped games of the year for me personally. I just literally beat Borderlands 3 the day before I recorded this, so I'm in a Borderlands mood. I'm excited for Borderlands 4. And no doubt, as the year goes on, more games are going to pop up on my most anticipated list. When I did my list for 2024, it changed a lot over the year as more games got released. So I suspect, if the Switch successor gets announced, we'll get a 3D Mario game, and that will probably be my game of the year. But we don't know, right? Will there be a new Mario Kart? Will there be a new Smash Brothers? We just got to wait and see. So that's my list, guys. I'm pretty hyped for 2025. I think it's got a lot of things going for it. So let me know, what consoles are you most hyped for, whether they're new or whether your PS5 or your Series X or your PC are getting some new games. Let me know. Just in general, what's your most hyped for? GTA 5, Switch successor, those are easily, or GTA 6 and the Switch successor, are easily my two most hyped things of the year. So again, let me know down below. I'll see you guys in the next one.